It's a great pleasure to be here with David Miles, who is hopefully will sing later on and entertain us. Wayne Long, Secretary of State of Finance, and Dominic LeBlanc, who is many things, including our Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs, responsible for negotiations internationally, and a colleague above and beyond. I'd like to thank Chris, Erica, and Bill for hosting us here at Maple Leaf Homes, welcoming us, but also for what you've been doing. And I'm going to expand a bit on this. But let me start by just acknowledging that their team, the team here at Maple Leaf Homes, has been building for over 3 decades. And it's a story that started in building homes for mining camps in the far north, and a place where I know well, they know well. The cold conditions and the short construction seasons make traditional home building difficult. So what they did is they started to build homes indoors in controlled conditions with the precision and strength required to withstand the harsh elements in the north. Et cette même innovation est bien vivante ici, dans vos installations de Fredericton. Vous perfectionnez votre savoir-faire en fabrication des maisons usinées. Grâce à des machines de pointe, aux technologies les plus récentes et au talent local, vous bâtissez plus de maisons, plus rapidement, plus économes en énergie et à un prix abordable pour les Canadiens et Canadiennes. At this facility, construction is active 22 hours a day. Uses softwood lumber from across the Atlantic provinces, from Quebec, British Columbia, New Brunswick-made kitchens, which we just tested out, fully endorse them, and engineered wood from Quebec. Maple Leaf Homes builds energy-efficient apartments, schools, remote camps, and hundreds of homes every year. We need more of them. Once completed, these housing units are shipped as far west as Manitoba, as far north to Nunavut. Vous démontrez une fois de plus que les constructeurs canadiens peuvent être des chefs de file en matière de qualité et de savoir-faire. Félicitations pour ce que vous avez bâti et pour tout ce que vous bâtirez encore. Now, Canada's new government is deploying a similar combination of innovation, speed, and long hours through Build Canada Homes. Build Canada Homes is a new entity. It leverages federal public lands, a large portfolio of projects, highly competitive financing to help create scale in a new factory-built housing industry that can help Canada build millions more of affordable homes. This is an industry that can cut building times by 50%, reduce costs by 20%, and lower emissions by a further 20%. And it's consistent with Canada's history. Our history is one of adventurers, risk takers, and above all, builders. Our country was forged by Indigenous peoples and voyageurs who built vast trading networks from coast to coast to coast before the Americans had even left St. Louis. Following the Second World War, Canada was ambitious, determined, and united in a mission to build big things. That would include the St. Lawrence Seaway, the Trans-Canada Highway, Expo 67, and the CN Tower. But Canadians also built new neighborhoods for hundreds of thousands of returning veterans. And we expanded our universities, such as UNB. UNB saw its enrollment almost double. En ce moment charnière, c'est à cette histoire de construction que nous devons revenir et que nous devons encourager. Because Canada is facing a hinge moment. The world's more divided and dangerous. The global trading system is being rewired, threatening Canadian jobs and businesses. The budget released last week, it estimates that U.S. tariffs and the uncertainty that they're costing Canadians represents around 1.8% of our GDP. Let me translate that. That's about $50 billion lost from our economy, the equivalent of $1,300 for every Canadian. And this is happening fast. It's a rupture, not a transition. And it means that our economic strategy needs to change just as dramatically and rapidly. That new strategy is at the core of Canada's new federal budget. The budget builds Canada strong by unleashing over $1 trillion in total investments in Canada over the next 5 years. Those investments alone will increase Canada's GDP by over 3.5%. Again, let me translate. That's $3,500 for every Canadian worker, more than twice of what the Americans are taking from us. And we are just getting started. Le budget 2025 est la nouvelle stratégie économique dont le Canada a besoin pour relever ce défi et en sortir encore plus fort. Un Canada confiant qui prend son avenir en main. Pour y arriver, on doit s'attaquer aux pressions économiques de longue date qui vont au-delà des droits de douane. Our budget makes generational investments to build at home, including right here in New Brunswick. Budget 2025 includes a new $5 billion Trade Diversification Corridors Fund, which will improve Canada's access to international markets by investing in new port, new airport, and railway infrastructure. And that means projects such as the St. John Trade Corridor and the critical minerals port at Port of Belledune. We're building one Canadian economy, turbocharged by new infrastructure that connects our regions, diversifies our markets, makes us an energy superpower, restores affordability to housing, and secures our community. Nous créons de nouvelles stratégies allant des minéraux critiques au train à très grande vitesse en passant par un nuage souverain, afin de générer des dizaines de milliards de dollars d'investissements supplémentaires tout en créant les conditions d'une économie plus connectée et plus productive. Notre nouvelle stratégie industrielle de défense permettra de tirer parti de l'augmentation de plus de 80 milliards de dollars des dépenses de défense au cours des 5 prochaines années pour bâtir l'industrie canadienne. Et notre stratégie de compétitivité climatique contribuera à générer des centaines de milliards de dollars d'investissement dans les infrastructures nucléaires, hydroélectriques, éoliennes, de stockage de réseaux électriques afin de faire du Canada un chef de file de l'économie à faible émission de carbone. Nous bâtirons des infrastructures locales, notamment des hôpitaux, des réseaux de transport en commun, des espaces récréatifs, des centres des arts, et ce, grâce au Fonds bâtir des collectivités fortes qui prévoit un investissement de 50 milliards de dollars. Et cela comprend de nouveaux financements pour construire la place Marcel-François Richard, un lieu de rassemblement destiné à célébrer la culture acadienne sur le site de drapeau acadien géant de beau rivage au Nouveau-Brunswick. Et je crois que M. Leblanc l'a dévoilé dimanche dernier. Oui?
Samedi.
Oui, samedi dernier. Now, we're going to build. But it's not just about what we build, it's also how we build. And that's what I want to focus for the balance of my remarks. We're going to build inclusively, in full partnership with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. We will build in solidarity with workers, creating good union jobs. We will build sustainably, because reducing emissions isn't just a moral duty, it's an economic imperative. And above all, we will build Canadian. by becoming our own best customer. With our new Buy Canadian policy, whenever the federal government spends, we will select Canadian suppliers by default, rather than using the current best efforts approach. And this new approach will extend to all federal agencies, all Crown corporations, such as Build Canada Homes, such as Alto, High Speed Rail, and such as our spending from our new Defence Investment Agency. Our Buy Canadian policy will include federal infrastructure spending, ensuring that as much as possible of that $70 billion we're planning to invest in the roads, bridges, and community centres on which Canadians rely comes from Canadian-made suppliers. And in those cases, when domestic suppliers aren't available, purchases will be required to include Canadian content or to be sourced from trusted partners. Now, being our own best customer will put more of every public dollar back into our economy, creating good Canadian jobs, Canadian careers, using Canadian resources and benefiting Canadian communities. It'll make a big difference for workers here in New Brunswick, including at businesses like Maple Leaf Homes. Quand une commande sera passée pour de l'acier, de bois d'œuvre ou de la machinerie lourde, elle ira à des entreprises de Saskatoon, de Trois-Rivières et de Fredericton. Et elle transformera ces nouvelles commandes de maisons, de bâtiments et d'équipements de défense en contrat en carrière et en meilleur salaire pour les travailleurs canadiens. Now, for smaller businesses, we're also launching a new procurement program that provides specialized, streamlined support for those Canadian small and medium-sized businesses that are trying to break into the federal market. This is good for everyone. It'll improve competition for Canadian contracts. It'll strengthen local supply chains. And it will build our industries from construction to energy, technology, and clean manufacturing. Nous donnerons à nos entreprises la confiance dont elles ont besoin pour investir dans leur développement et leur croissance. Nous serons nos propres meilleurs clients afin que le soudeur ou l'ingénieur nouvellement diplômé ait une carrière de grande qualité qui l'attend ici au Canada. Le nouveau gouvernement du Canada fait cette annonce, mais cela s'inscrit dans le cadre d'une mission plus large que chaque Canadien et Canadienne, à sa manière, fait progresser. Les Canadiens qui ont acheté plus de vins locaux, comme au Québec, où les ventes de vins locaux ont augmenté de près de 60%. Notre gouvernement a éliminé les obstacles fédéraux au commerce intérieur plus tôt cette année, et les premiers ministres des provinces et des territoires ont commencé à éliminer leurs obstacles également, ce qui permettra de débloquer des milliards de dollars supplémentaires dans les échanges commerciaux à l'intérieur de nos frontières. Our Buy Canadian strategy is part of a larger movement amongst Canadian businesses, a movement that's putting maple leaf stickers on grocery aisles, a movement that's increasing sales and coupons for Canadian-made products, and a movement that's choosing Canadian suppliers for new contracts. And one implication of Buy Canadian is that we need a more unified Canadian economy than ever. So the federal government is leading the effort to remove internal barriers so that Canadian products and services can flow easily across the country. Notre plan est ambitieux et audacieux. C'est exactement ce dont notre pays a besoin, et nous ferons ce qu'il faut. Now, in conclude and just observe, there are these challenges abroad, and there's two potential responses to the challenges that we face as a country. And the first is to stick to the plans designed for the old world, hunker down, slash the deficit, and wait for the trickle down. But in order to do that would mean getting rid of our key social programs, or the federal government eliminating all the health, education, and social transfers that we make to the provinces and territories, and at the same time not making these big investments in what we need right now. We choose a different path to invest boldly in our future, just as Canadians have done in the past. We choose Canada. Nous sommes maîtres chez nous et nous bâtirons un pays plus grand et plus fort que jamais. Et ce, avec du bois d'œuvre canadien, de l'acier canadien et de l'aluminium canadien. C'est notre pays, c'est votre avenir. Avec le budget 2025, nous reprenons le contrôle pour bâtir un Canada fort. With Budget 2025, we'll build Canadian, build New Brunswick strong, build Canada strong. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup et vive le Canada.